Welcome back, everyone, to Jumper and Swole's 31 Days of Horror, presented to you by the Tainted Glove. Today, we're going to look at an oldie but a goodie, the 1990 film Tales from the Darkside. Before even getting into the film, one of my favorite things is the poster. I just love the fact that it has some kind of gremlin looking thing reading a book. And as a kid, I was always drawn to it just because of the way it looks. I remember going into Masterpiece Video that was on 47th Street in the back of the yards area and always saw the cover for it as a movie rental and always tried to get it to watch with my brother on the weekend. This film is actually based off the popular TV series of the same name, which if you haven't seen, I highly recommend you check it out. Their first episode, Trick or Treat, is awesome. It's about Halloween with a real witch. So definitely check that out if you haven't. But this movie has 3 stories, 4 if you include the wraparound, and it's pretty cool the stories they go into, something different. The wraparound story is basically a kid that is held captive by a modern day witch who's actually going to cook him for a dinner party. And to distract the witch, he actually starts reading stories from a horror book she gave him. And that's where we get our 3 stories. The first story we get is called Lot 249. And it's basically a revenge story with Edward Billingham, played by Steve Buscemi, and Susan and Lee Smith, played by Christian Slater and Julianne Moore. This story is actually an adaptation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's short story, Lot number 249, and it is written by Michael McDowell. A short synopsis of the story is basically a person is wronged, in this case, Edward Billingham, played by Steve Buscemi, and he is wronged by Susan and Lee, who are played by Juliana Moore and Robert Sedgwick. And after he sends the mummy to claim his revenge, a mad brother by the name of Andy Smith, who is played by Christian Slater, takes his revenge against him. And I don't want to give too much away about the ending, but there is a twist ending, and that's one thing that I really love about these 3 stories is that there's an ending that has a twist to it. All 3 of them do. Nothing is straightforward. Even the wraparound has a twist to it. So that's really cool about this movie. The second story is a horror lover's wet dream, as it's actually an adaptation of Stephen King's Cat from Hell. And this film adaptation is actually written by the powerhouse and legendary director George A. Romero. So with that, you know it's going to be good. It stars William Hickey, who you probably might know from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation as Uncle Lewis. His voice is something that still sticks with me to today because I remember watching it as a kid and being kind of creeped out about it, and he's known for his gravelly voice. Drugan is basically feeling that he is cursed. See, he used to own a pharmaceutical company that actually killed 5,000 cats while testing a new drug. And he's believed this black cat that has come into his life and his household is trying to exact some cosmic revenge against him. So he goes out of his way and hires a hitman by the name of Halston, played by David Johansen. This hitman is paid to try to kill this cat. And oh my god, does this get crazy. There is some supernatural elements to this story, along with a wicked death at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but it's totally worth it. And I recommend you check this out just for this story alone. The third and final story is called Lover's Vow, and it's actually a retelling of the adaptation of Yuki Onna from Lafayette's Hearn's 1904 book, Kawadian, Stories and Studies of Strange Things. This is also written by Michael McDowell. This one stars James Remar as Preston, and his girlfriend is played by Ray Dawn Chong as Carla. This is probably one of the most popular stories of the movie, as it always gets played out, and you always see a lot of scenes from this, usually on YouTube or stills from it. Reason being is because it has awesome animatronics from a gargoyle and a great stop motion aspect to it. This story basically centers around James Remar being a struggling artist who goes to a bar one night, and upon leaving the bar, gets attacked by a giant gargoyle or monster. The monster kills everyone around him, and basically he begs for his life. The gargoyle makes him promise not to tell anybody about the incident and he'll let him live. But before he leaves, he scratches him on the chest. While leaving and running away around the corner, he meets Carla, who the two fall in love. Upon meeting Carla, his fortune changes. His art gets into a prestigious studio. He's now in high demand. He has an agent, and they have two children. But with this success, he's actually struggling with holding the secret of seeing the monster kill people and doesn't know if he can hold it in. It's actually coming into his artwork, affecting his life at his home, and it's making him go crazy. So, who's he going to tell? I don't want to again give away the ending of this one because it's so worth watching. So, I highly recommend you check out these three stories. Not to mention the ending of the wraparound. Tales from the Dark Side is one of my favorite movies as a kid, and I still watch it every Halloween. So I highly recommend you check it out. And with that, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Be sure to check us out at thetaintedglove.com to see more 31 Days of Horror, as well as our podcast from Yumper and Swole and the Tainted Glove Mothership, and also all our blogs and stuff. And with that, thanks for watching again, and we'll catch you in the next one.